NOVUS CrownCast in HQ, and we're leveling up. We got the NBA with us here. Brian Scalabrine, White Mamba, Team White Mamba. It's sponsored by and outfitted by NOVUS as well. It's Chris Honorato. The guys in the middle, Nick and Garrett Bernard, are the owners of NOVUS. But Brian Scalabrine, man, it's great to have you in the house.
You know what, you guys, when you walk in this place looks awesome.
Thank
you know what's great? When you come here, it just gets your brain going. Like, there is nothing you can't do. So I'm so glad I came.
Open.
And I'm in town doing the Gym Rest live, and we're bringing Team White Mamba, who last week came off, winning the U17 tournament down in Massachusetts and taking the show on the road. But a good step, and I'm glad you guys invited me here.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming in. That's kind of the effect we're hoping for when people come in. They get their creative juices flowing, and a lot of this is bringing our brand experience to life. So it's great to have you here, and obviously we've had some great phone calls, and it was really the first one when you were like, hey, like I'm going to do big things with the program, that got us excited too. So that's kind of the mentality we bring around here with the NOVUS culture.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like this, right? If the AAU thing, and I know that people can go a lot of different directions. Some people can know a few people and say, hey, let's get together. That's kind of how this started. Like, I'm friends with, the Flags, and Maine United got broken up because Cooper was moving on to Duke, and I had some kids I was training here for a long time in Massachusetts. And so when you add that together, it kind of started the fire. It doesn't take long before you realize, like, there's a lot of people out there that want good basketball, and and I like being in the gym, and I like doing this. So probably random how it started for you guys and turned into this. Yeah. I hope one day it can be big, like what you guys got going here.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, it was kind of cool, the connection. Would you want to speak into a little bit of the evolution of Maine United to Team White Mamba? Because for us, we got to know Kelly Flagg and Andy Bedard over at from Maine United about 3 years ago now, and then it was like they're passing the torch, and they said you got to meet Scal.
Yeah, so the way it started was it was basically a phone call from, I guess, Cooper and Ace's trainer, and said, hey, I have this kid. He's really good. I don't know how good he is, but I want you to get your eyes on them. So from Maine all the way down to where I live is got to be 3 hours, and they made the trip that night or maybe a little bit later. I set up a pretty good open gym. And our environment back in Boston's amazing. Like we crank the music up super loud. We encourage, like, what I would consider clean trash talking. Like, we want to flex on people and do all that. We don't fight or do any of those things. So, yeah, but it's like another level up, right? It's like learn to stand up for yourself, and also learn like sometimes guys gonna hit a shot on you, you're gonna get dunked, you're gonna get got, right? It's just how it goes. So we create this environment, and Cooper walks in, and like it was nothing. Like, it was easy for him to jump right in, and he was 14 years old at the time, and we're really impressed with the whole thing. And so that kind of started it. And then they invited me up to Maine to train with their guys. Sometimes they train in between, like right on the border of Maine and New Hampshire. So I went up there, and not just Cooper. Like, I love Cooper, but at the time, Ace was there, Caden was there. Even some of the guys that didn't come along to play for White Mamba, like, those guys were really good. I liked their attitude, and I mean, they were entering into the Lions' Den, playing at the EYBL level, and I could probably help them at that time or give them a nudge here and there. But mostly it was cool to see these kids leveling up. And then when Cooper went on and up reclassed up, it was basically like, where are these kids going to play? And I felt I had enough footing after 4 or 5 years of dabbling with some other AAU programs and seeing how they developed my daughter, who's now 17. It's like, I think we can do this. And, this was part of it. And there's so many details to AAU.
Right.
Like, I love the basketball side of it. And you guys have made the logistics side of it so much easier for me. But that's sort of how it all started. And like, right now, we got a lot of interest from some other people that are looking for like a good basketball experience. That's what we're providing.
Yeah.
You obviously embraced the nickname. Did it take you a while to jump?
The White Mamba?
Mamba, yeah.
Well, so it's yes and no on that one, right? Like right away, I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good, right? They called me the White Mamba on TV, and the next day we were on a road trip. So let's say 3 days later, we get back to Chicago. And this is when I was with the Bulls, and White Mamba was White Mamba Mania, right? So I embraced it there, and like the shirts and all that stuff. But as far as like going to Team White Mamba, I mean, like we could have went with Scals, Stars, or anything like that. But like, why not? You got to go Team White Mamba. I have a player on the team. His name is Abdil, and he is always messing around in the huddles. Like, all right, man, Mamba mentality on 3, White Mamba on 3. Like he's always doing stuff like that. And it's really good. And I think the kids have so far really embraced it. And, that's awesome. And I think when you look at it and you see, Expression, City Rock, Team White Mamba, it makes me feel really good.
Yeah, that's really cool.
By the way, you can buy the gear also, teamwhiteMamba.com.
You can.
You can buy some of that gear.
But so, yeah. And by the way, just like AAU, I'm learning how we do this, right? So, but we're, and that was the main phone call, or I guess it was a Zoom meeting that we had, was like, I don't want it to be standard. I don't want it to be basketball and a snake, and I want it to be awesome. And I think I don't know, can they see it? Like, I'll just grab it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. Here's the logo that we came up with. The cool part about it, that if you flip it over, it's the same logo. So either way, it's the same logo.
So we're upside down.
Yeah, I mean, I just we came up with this, and I wanted to be different. Yeah. And one thing is, you guys always like delivered on whatever we thought we could do. And I mean, you guys probably couldn't see it, but that green side is snake skin, the other side is like camouflage. So, I mean, I really appreciate all the stuff that you guys done. And some people look at me like, you're crazy, you can't do those things, but you guys just we'll get it done.
That's what we love to do. Let's take it back, go back in time here. So our brand is built on passion, conviction, and perseverance. Mm-hmm. And we're inspiring everyone to claim their crown. Perseverance for Brian Scalabrine. Talk about that in your story and how that relates.
What's funny about that? I'll ask you guys. You guys feel like you have perseverance, or you just feel like this is how I am?
I guess, it's kind of like in the DNA.
Yeah, I don't look at like here, like real quick, right? Cut from the 8th grade team, rode the bench as a freshman, but like, I don't look at my life like that. I look at my life like really I'm in this moment. I'm going to do everything I can today. And then tomorrow we'll figure it out. And then the next day. And I don't look back. By the way, the guys who cut me in 8th grade, I don't hold any ill will towards them. Maybe I wasn't good enough, and maybe that sparked a fire in me. And, I do only have one way to go. It's full tilt. So where people will say to me, like, how do you make it through all that? I would say, like, how do I not make it? I'm waking up at 6 a.m. I'm running. I'm doing all that. I'm not running to prove the coach that cut me. I only know one way. This is how I do it. And I tell kids all the time, like, look, if you want to make it, it's pretty simple, right? Grow to be 6'9". No, I'm just kidding. It's pretty simple. Like, I didn't take a possession off. Not like I had bad days, but can you imagine your whole life, like every possession that you do something, every film session, you're in there, I can honestly say to you, like, throughout my high school days and my college days, and by the time you might make it to the NBA, your habits are formed. Like, right. I just didn't coast. And, more power to the guys that can do it now. Like, I didn't have Netflix, I didn't have Prime, I didn't have any of those things. Yeah. We had hoops, and that's all we had. I had my bike and hoops. So I rode my bike and I played hoops. So when people say perseverance, that's for sure. Like, you have to have that. But I think it's just like, I'm just wired this way.
But even the guys that have all that, the highest level of born talent, a LeBron, a Brady, those guys, from everything you read,
100%.
They're the most committed
100%
on the team.
100%. Yeah. And I'm like this too. I only remember the bad stuff, not the champion. I remember losing. This is so messed up. Losing in 10, like, changed my life. Like, internally.
Wow.
Winning in 8 changed my life externally. But, like, I'm a much different person because I lost in 2010 than I am because I won in 2008. Wow. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad. Now, I understand that my life has benefited from being a champion and, like, and my relationship with the city of Boston or all of New England. I get that. But I am more driven personally for my habits and the habits that I push onto my kids, my children, as well as my players. It's mostly based off of 2010.
What do you think that is? Like, what about like losing
stings, baby. Yeah. It stings. Yeah. Like, because we're so close. Let's say in a game like that, we have a 13-point lead in the third quarter. You're probably 2 or 3 possessions away from another championship, right? It's just the margins are so small, and the margins are so small in all walks of life, and the difference between the person that ends up right there and not is like a little moment here or there. And what it made me realize is you should never, let's just say I took a day off on Tuesday, right? Some random Tuesday. Like, did that end up costing us a championship? And could we, if we all asked ourselves that question and we all took a maybe, I'm not going to do it today, or, oh, I'm going to go out. Oh, I'm not going to wake up and go work out. Let's just say there was something along the way. That's how small the margin. What if that was the difference? So
right.
That's sort of, and I think a lot of that has to do with like Tom Thibodeau and like the way that he is, and like me being around Tom, and like, but it does, it makes for me, it's like the smallest thing make the biggest difference in life.
Yeah.
The average person, it sounds tormenting, but that's an athlete's mentality.
Yeah. I mean, right? If you go back to that average person and you ask them, like, 10 years ago, if you would have just done this on this one day, your whole life would have been different. And now listen, I'm not saying it would have been. In my mind, it would have been.
I think to me, like, that's the mentality of a champion. Like, a winner is someone that like can look back at the little moments along the way and say like, oh, I probably can improve here. Like,
for sure.
You always can grow and get better, continually like learning. And like being a student of the game or your profession, I think that's like something for me too, that every day we're here, it's like we don't have all the answers, but like we're willing to work and find a way.
Yeah.
Find the answers.
And we talk a lot about this with my team, right? 1%, right? It's like, let's say I push you to be 1%, you push 1%, you push 1%, put 1%. It comes back to me, and then like a month later, someone else is pushing me. Now I start pushing you, and it's like, can you imagine what that is after a year? Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah. It makes a big difference. And in a world in the NBA where the margins are slim, that makes a big difference. And I saw that firsthand. Like, Garnett pushed Allen, who pushed Paul, who pushed Garnett, who pushed Allen, who pushed Paul. And those guys all pushed us. Like, we saw those guys like, man, we have to bring it every single day.
Who was the first pusher out of that tree?
Garnett. Like, he is a different animal. He walks in, he's different. His presence is different. Him in the weight room, on the floor, everything is different. Even if me and you were like messing around, and he walked in, we'd be like, all right, come on, let's go. Let's get locked in. And it's not like he's going to get mad at us and he's going to beat us up or anything like that. It was just like, I don't know, you ever been around someone like that? You're just like, let's go, man, we got to lock in. Because like, even that is a fraction of the way that he locks in. So that's when people talk about culture, that's culture. Yeah, right. It's not like just word or just saying like we have great culture. No, it's a guy who comes in and does that, and everyone follows suit.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. How do you take that and bring it into these kids that you're coaching now? Like, because it's almost like KG was born that way, But like, can you teach some of that type of mentality of like, today is your day?
Yeah, so
it's your opportunity.
So you try to do it like, let's say we do a thing where it's like 5 on 5 on 5, right? And if this 5 loses, you get a chance to coach them. But we want the action to continue to go. So they're going that way, and I'm over here with a guy. Eventually, let's say if I stop everything and I just lay into like my 3 best players. Everybody knows at that point. Then I'll stop and say to some of my lower players, like, listen, you have to ask yourself whether you want to be here or not. Like, you have to really, for you, I'm sorry, this is just the way it is. And it was like this for me. For you to survive in this fish pool right here with these sharks, like, you can't do what you just did. You can't walk in. You have to be mentally locked in to ride with those guys. So that message from the top to like, you want so much more and you're not pushing yourself to get there. And if you're swimming with the sharks, like, you have to be able to raise your level up. You may never be a shark, but if you're going to be in the pool, you don't want to get eaten, right? So it's like that message is coming from top to bottom, right? I don't hold back with the top players. And I also informed the bottom players because, to be honest with you, we had back-to-back practices. On Tuesday, our practice was terrible. On Wednesday, it was amazing. You know what the difference was? The lower level players, they went up. So think about that. Like the whole practice, I thought was terrible. The day before, the energy was low, at least for the first 45 minutes. The next day, it was up because those lower level players rose their level up. Everything changed. So you can only be as good as your weakest link. And if those guys are pushing the top players, you're in a good place.
That's amazing.
We hear all the time now, we get old like me, that the next generation can't handle the coaching and the pushing the way we would have been pushed in the 90s and the early 2000s. Do you see that with today's athletes?
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you walk a finer line than coaches walk with you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. No one ever, it's just funny, guys. No one ever sugarcoated anything for me, ever. I was never, ever like the guy that's, you got to watch out, man. He could have a bad attitude. Like, I just didn't have that option, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm really fair. Like, another thing, anybody can go and watch a basketball game and criticize 10 things. Like, I really do focus on 3 things at a time. And hopefully those 3 things, maybe one we get, and I could add a 4th in there, right? But I think for a kid, they can get lost in the amount of information that's out there, right? But, I say, you can probably ask any of my players, like when you're around me and I coach you, I want you to use both sides of the floor, right? I want you to play through contact. I need you in the corners so when the player's driving, they can hit the corners. And if you just start right there, everything goes from there. Like, I'm not going to change things around. We're going to drive those points home until we mastered that. And then maybe I add something else. Defensively, can't get beat to the middle of the floor, right? But you can't give people 10 options. Nor, as a player, I don't want 10 options either. And I play at the highest level. Give me the 3 things you want me to do, and I'll do them. There might be some other things, like save your energy, save your focus for the things that you feel matter. And so I feel like I could be tough, I could be disciplined if I keep it simple for them.
Did you know you wanted to coach? At what point in your life?
Yeah.
Were you still in an NBA jersey thinking, man, one day I want to coach?
The Tommy Heinsohn thing, watching him and saying, this will be a much better job. And then I went to Golden State for a year.
Right.
Yeah. And that also changed watching Steph Curry changed my life too. Like, the dude, that guy, he's from a different planet when it comes to how hard he works. But
wow.
But this satisfies both sides of it, right? I get my life, I get my family, I get my job, I get all that, but then I can spend the time with the kids. Now, remember, my biggest strength is not necessarily coaching, even though I coach, it's connecting people. I have great coach that helps run it. I have a great manager that helps run it. I'm connecting, I'm trying to connect so many layers of people to grow this the right way. So if you were to ask me, what are your strengths in life? And a lot of people would be like, oh, I don't know. Well, my strengths in life are connecting people at the top to make it work, right? So when you're a coach and you're working for me, I know that this guy's the best. And when we're at practice, these guys are running and they know what they're doing. If I'm standing up coaching, I look, whatever they say, I'm going to go with it. So I'm a big believer in connecting people at the top, which I think coaches need to have relationships. But for me, it's more about looking at it think about GM of Team White Mamba.
I feel like just being a part of a team, that's a mentality that creates a culture. When you were out in the court, I'm sure that same
for sure
mentality attributed to why so many teams wanted you to be a part of that team. Someone that's thinking of how can we bring all the players together to make this work. It's it takes that selfless, humble attitude towards it to make something be great. Yeah. I think that's really special.
And I think team building is also roster construction, team building. Sometimes those can get convoluted. Is also a really important part of AAU. sure, we'll take you on. Well, yeah, we'll take you on. Yeah, we'll take you on. Like, I'm actually real selective in that. Like, once I got a guy that does something, I'm like, good. Yeah. Now let's see if I can find someone that does something a little bit different, you know? And so I think that going back to what you were saying is, you know, you can't just have 5 guys that do the same thing. Everyone has to play a role in the success of a team. And that could be at the AAU level, it could be at the NBA level, and everywhere in between.
So this morning, Nick, you got
Well, no, back to the team thing. Another, well, you talked about KG, but outside of KG, who was the most dynamic teammate you played with, or who was your favorite teammate to play with?
Kidd is, I saw in Jersey playing with Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
Like, he could probably make you an NBA player. I've never even seen you hoop. Like talk about, so one day I made a cut to the basket, and, you know, basketball works like this, right? You play well, you get compensated. You get compensated, you get years, you get respect. Like, it's like, you know, like, I could have been a 3-month basketball player that couldn't fit into an NBA team, but I happened to go to a team where Jason Kidd was on. Wow. And one day I cut to the basket, and I never played with a point guard like this before. And I got the ball, and as I got the ball, I had to turn and look and see what's behind me, and it took me too long. I bobbled the ball, boom, I get my shot block, right? And not so these kind of words. He was basically like, you know, quote, air quotes here, I've already made that decision for you. If I throw you the ball, just go up with it. So I just, like, I have to break every habit. This is like part about being like a conscientious player, right? I have to break every habit I ever learned. No point guard has ever thought about the defender for me, right?
So he's telling you, I see the defense behind you.
And I'm going to throw the ball where you're not.
Yeah.
Like, very Tom Brady-like. Like, you know, like, everyone wonder why Tom Brady throws into the ground. Like, there's a reason he's doing that. It's not like he's like, it's a bad throw. He's like, I don't want you to get creamed by the safety. Let me get this ball right here, right?
Wow.
So Kid's doing that for me. So the next time I cut, he throws it, and I just jump in the air, and boom, I get a dunk. I'm like, oh, that's different, right? So then you add that, you add running the floor, getting an easy layup, and it's a lot easier if you got 2 buckets under your belt to knock down a corner 3.
Yeah.
Then we're like, man, I haven't touched the ball in a while, you know? So like, and then the margins in the NBA, as we just discussed, are so small that, you know, me getting 2 layups or, you know, like getting a corner 3 in a game is massive. It's massive, right?
Right.
So he would be the most dynamic player as far as like making me a better player than I've played with.
I got one I got to get in before we let Scal go. Redhead to redhead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Doyle rules?
Doyle rules, man. So I'll put you on the spot with this, all right?
They don't even know what we're talking about.
I mean, you know what's funny? I dropped to know Doyle rules the other day to somebody younger than me. And I'm like, do you not know Billy Madison?
Yeah.
Like, no. I'm like,
no. I one time I talked to a kid, he was like 15, and the parents were there, and I go, Doyle rules. And he was like looking at me, I go, you haven't told him?
Yeah.
I go, you guys should be ashamed of yourself. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so redhead to redhead here. Give me the Mount Rushmore of redheaded athletes.
Yeah, so I always wonder about this.
Do you have 4 quick off the top of your head?
Well, I always know that.
I've got notes if you need them.
Yeah. Bill Walton is number 1, right? Like, I wish you could have played longer and everything like that. But this is always a question mark. Is Blake Griffin a redhead? He is. It's red. If you see him in person,
but you don't. You see it. You don't believe.
So you're talking about like total recessive. Like,
I'm talking.
All of a sudden you're like, huh? What?
When you walk into the room, you're
You
like,
know,
that dude's a
pasty.
redhead. Yeah.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Blake Griffin's way too cool to be a redhead.
No.
All right. So I would think it's, if I'm not mistaken, there's a guy named Jeff Garcia.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Am I wrong by that?
Oh, you're right.
Right.
Quarterback for the Niners.
Big Bill Walton, Jeff Garcia.
Okay.
Just not necessarily on the court, but in life, I would have to be in that mix.
Well, I'm going to take you out of it just to make it fair for the rest of them.
Dude, if you ask, like, universally known, if you ask top redheads, I would be in that category.
No doubt.
Oh.
But I'm just saying, for the sake of the fun of it and to make it fair for everybody else, you can't put yourself in stone.
All right. No, that's all I got.
Forrest Becker, big redhead tennis
player, yeah.
Grand Slam, red beard to go with
Yeah, but I always
too.
feel like you got to be in team sports because, like, cause we're all getting, like, pushed to be loners,
So
right?
Dale Jr. doesn't qualify
Who?
then, right?
Dale.
Jr.
No, you got. We're only talking team sports.
How
here.
about Go back. This guy, I remember growing up watching him, Alexi Lalas.
Yeah, there we go.
flow
No
of
question.
red
And
was
he's done
like,
well
this
afterwards.
guy.
And he's done well afterwards. No question. He's the Mount Rushmore. No doubt. No doubt.
Okay. I do have one on here. Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket.
Oh yeah,
Quarterback. Bengals and the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, he's good.
Okay.
Okay.
I put Sean White, but maybe we're not going to count him because
No, individual sport. But he's an all-time great redhead.
yeah,
He's an all-time great
now
redhead.
Boyd Halladay is getting credit for being a redhead pitcher for the Phillies and Blue Jays.
Uh-huh.
Maybe.
No, I don't think it's full. By the way, you're not full.
Ooh, what am I?
I mean, look at the camera. This is real.
you're red.
Yours is like,
Yeah.
you have a good chance of like getting a hot white, not living in your mom's basement.
Like,
Yeah, not living in your mom's basement. Like, we're talking like, it's weird about us, right? We're either in our mom's basement or we're doing really well. You never see a guy that's like me, that's just like, yeah, I'm doing all right. Working at a factory, like you never see that. It's so weird. Like, I think they beat down, society just beats us down, and then we either persevere or we give up.
You're the royalty like Prince Harry.
No,
right?
Yeah, like that doesn't really count. You know, if that dude didn't have that backing, I don't know.
Is he good looking enough to get away with that?
No way. Ain't no way. Ari's a great guy, though. Ari's a great guy. But still, no way. No way.
No, we're a rare breed.
No, I agree. I agree. And I tell all you guys out there, like, listen, remember, don't try to be average. You got to be big or not going to work out for you. It's just how it goes with redheads.
nothing.
Oh, but you know what? By the way, you guys can't say that. Only we can say that.
Yeah, no. I don't know. That's just weird too, right? Italian descent, correct?
Yeah.
Italian descent, obviously Italian descent. But how do we end up?
Northern Verona, where?
Yeah, northern.
Yeah, northern Italy. Yeah, if you go up there, it's more mountain than you think. You know, they're not like making wine.
son.
No, anyways, good stuff.
That was awesome.
This is great, man. The partnership Team White Mamba has with Novus. I already heard you guys just walking around HQ, putting your hands on stuff. Like it is going to go well beyond jerseys. And joggers.
Yeah. You know what? The parents so far, and we're going to get to the point, right, where we're just going to pump this stuff out. Parents have been really excited about the gear to support their kids, and you know the AAU world is an interesting world. Like these parents go all in. They want to be there. They want to support. They want to wear the stuff. They want their kid to have the warm up stuff. So it's a good start. We're only starting, but I told you I have big goals and dreams with this because I'm going to connect the right people.
Yeah, no doubt. And we're grateful to be a part of it and watch the games this weekend, see some good hoop. And
you guys won't cut me off if we get blasted by 30, would you?
well, that was in the contract.
You saw the contract.
Now you're getting to hide the
Is that you?
That was me. Win every
No,
game.
win every game in the contract. Win every game. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
You felt the burn. You felt the pressure, but it had.
Yeah, I think you were testing me to see if I would read it.
Yeah.